Hey folks, John here. Thank you for tuning in and welcome back once again to yet another episode on our audio podcast. This will my take, where the headlines meets real talk. Folks, I hope you had a great weekend and you're looking forward to the new week that is beginning. Let me take this opportunity to wish you all a great week and may God bless you through your week. Now let's get into the reason why we're here. Once again, welcome back to This World My Take. They call me John. And today's topic is one that has quietly slipped under the radar but carries massive implications for human rights, privacy, and the future of immigration enforcement in the United States. Yes, this beautiful country we all call home. Now, folks, did you know that the Trump administration has been quietly and secretly collecting DNA samples from migrants that they detain? Yes, folks, the Trump administration's decision to collect DNA samples from migrants, some as young as 4 years old, at the southern border has raised serious legal, ethical, and humanitarian concerns. Now, these are the things that they don't go on Fox News. They don't tell the influencers like Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and the rest to promote. They don't talk about it. So not many people understand what is happening in America. Now, according to reports, folks, over 130,000 DNA samples have already been taken, and Fed have already entered these DNA samples that they've created a profile and they've sent it to the FBI CODIS system, a national DNA database traditionally used for violent criminals. Now, the question is this: when you collect samples from somebody that's 4 years old, what criminal or what violent activities or crimes has this person committed? Is this normal? Do you know, brothers and sisters, do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that this is what is going on secretly? So why is this happening? Is it legal? Is it ethical? And is it even necessary? But we all know that when we talk about ethics, there's nothing that word has to do with the Trump administration. First of all, let's dive into this whole topic and, let's look at the background of all this news. I know some of you guys you are listening to this or you're just hearing this for the first time. If you are not paying attention, other people worry about, alligator Alcatraz and the way families are being separated, but they do not understand what is happening underneath. Now, let me give you some background on this topic. The Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, and the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, began this practice under a Trump-era policy aimed at what they call combating fraudulent family claims at the border. Now, here's how it works, folks. Migrants who are detained, regardless of whether they are seeking asylum, are swabbed by DNA. These samples are then sent to the FBI, where they are stored in the Combined DNA Index System, what we call CODIS, the same database used to track convicted criminals, people like murderers, people like heavy felony committers, people like sex offenders, and so on. The policy applies to non-citizens primarily. Yes, it's non-citizen. If you don't belong like us, if you are not blue eye, if you are not Caucasian, this is what they actually do to you. And some people don't even understand that. This is primarily for migrants from Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Now you ask yourself, why don't they put migrant or non-citizens from Europe? But folks, we all know that everybody you see in America today came from Europe. It might have been 500 years ago in the 1600, 1500, but they are all connected to Europe. That is why they don't do it to them. It's like they're protecting their own. Now, this is This is a serious concern about whether there is a racial bias in how DNA is being collected. And like I said, they only take it from migrants from Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Now, is there an official reason for doing this, folks? Now, the Trump administration justified the program on two main grounds. The first, they said, is to prevent human trafficking. Officials argue that some children were being smuggled across the border by adults falsely claiming to be family members. DNA testing, they said, could confirm biological relationships. But we all know that the Trump administration always has a reason for every cover-up that they have. The reason why they're not even trying to let the world know about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. The second reason that the Trump administration is trying to put forward to let the people know, those who are eager to understand what all the DNA swapping of migrants is, they claim that is to strengthen national security. The claim is that having genetic records of migrants would help track down criminal suspects who might evade traditional identification. If this is the case, why only a particular group of people from a particular part of the world? Like I said, Latin Americans, Africans, and Asians. Now, on paper, this might sound reasonable, but critics said the practice has gone far beyond and what's necessary for safety and may be veering into mass surveillance territory, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, sometimes when you stay at home, and we stay home in the US, and we hear of certain things, surveillance going on in China, going on in Russia, and we be like, oh man, thank God I don't live over that. But guess what is happening? Donny Boy is trying to bring that whole mess into this beautiful country. Now, the third thing I want us to talk about is the controversy of this whole topic of collecting DNA just from a specific group of people who come into this beautiful country. Now, here's where it actually gets controversial for me. Children as young as 4 years old are being swapped. Why? These are not suspected criminals. They are asylum seekers, refugees, or migrants escaping violence. A child 4 years old, that's a baby. That's practically a baby for all of you listening who have babies. Think about that. Your baby goes into a country and they are escaping violence, and the first thing is they swap them and they already create a profile in the database so that, for criminals. That is not decent, ladies and gentlemen. Once the DNA enters CODIS, it's stored indefinitely. Listen to me, it's going to be there forever and ever. And even if they've committed no crime, that information is going to be there, like they could search. And by that, given what is going on in America today with deportation, the Trump administration and its stooges can just come up with stories and put whatever crime they want in any person's profile, and they claim that they committed the crime, whereas it's all bogus and it's all a lie. Now, civil rights organizations want that this creates a genetic database for non-Caucasian population that could be misused in the future. Just like what I just said, ladies and gentlemen, they will misuse it. It's a weapon. When they come for you, they just go inside and put, okay, this man is wanted for even if you didn't commit a crime, this is what they're going to do. And all of these, folks, it raises the question, is this about safety or about control? Well, if you ask me, I think it's about control. Now, let's look at the legal and ethical concerns of all this whole mess. Legal experts argue that this mass collection might violate both privacies and the international human rights standards. Think about it. You are 4 years old. Because you are a migrant, let's say from Africa, Latin America, Asia. You come into America, you seek for asylum, it's granted. And then all of a sudden, just because a bigot, a racist, a fascist system comes into place, they start putting all types of misleading crimes under your profile. You can argue because of, hey, it's in the system. It means that it is there. Now, the ACLU has called the policy a form of genetic surveillance, which is actually what it is. Immigration advocates point out that refugees and asylum seekers are legally distinct from criminals, yet their DNA is being treated the same way as someone convicted of a violent crime. You run away from a country that has war. Maybe you're wanted in your home country, and you come into a country where you think that you will be welcome and you'll be treated nicely, not knowing that they will swipe you and your name goes directly into a criminal database. Folks, this is scary. Now, the question remains about whether consent is truly voluntary when detainees are in federal custody. But here's something even more troubling. Once a DNA profile is encoded, there's no clear path for removal, even if the person gains legal residency or gains citizenship in this country, folks. So think about that. You come into this country, you follow sound, you live an upright life, you hustle, you struggle, you become a good person, but then your name is still in that database. It could be used for anything. Now, here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about today's border policy, ladies and gentlemen. Storing DNA on such a massive scale opens door to future uses that were never part of the original justifications. We all know what the Trump administration are doing right now. They are deporting people that have been here legally. Citizens are being deported just because your name sounds funny. We have a whole lot of, American-born citizens that have been to jail for 3, 4, even 2 weeks without any explanation. And I want you to think about it. Could these genetic records be used for predictive policing? I think so. Could they be shared with foreign government? Of course, they will be shared with foreign government. Could future administrations expand DNA collection to other groups? Because they are only targeting the Latin Americans, the Africans, and the Asians. And we all know this vile SOB has made it clear that he actually doesn't like these minorities. History shows us that when the government builds massive surveillance tools, the scope almost always expands over time. You don't believe me? Look at what's happening in China today. Now, what this means for America, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at what this actually means. Over 130,000 DNA profiles of migrants are now sitting in an FBI database. Supporters say that this makes America safe. I don't understand how. But critics argue it makes America less free. This issue forces us to confront a bigger question. Where do we draw the line between national security and individual right? Folks, you need to read George Orwell's 1984. It's scary. It's scary what we're seeing manifesting today. Because if DNA collection becomes normalized at the border, how long before it expands within the border? Now, I'll end this vlog by this podcast by asking you. Let's engage on this whole topic. Let's talk about it. I want to hear your point of view. This is more than an immigration issue. It's about privacy, folks. It's about civil rights and the kind of country we want to be in. Do you want to live in America like this? So I want to hear from you, folks. Do you believe that this DNA collection at the border by the Trump administration and its stooges is justified for security? Or do you see it as an overreach of the government's power? As a matter of fact, of Donald Trump's power? I need you to drop your thought in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and support for more eye-opening stories from around the world. Stay blessed, folks. The world is complicated, and we will keep talking about it. Stay informed and stay aware.